I'm always amazed, by the way, that we've kept this Money Moves going for as long as we have. We're already on episode 7. So thank you all for joining. Hopefully, we are over time building a nice little community focused on real world assets and really learning about why and the so what, and excited to delve in. Before we get into it, I mean, just as a quick background for anybody that doesn't know who I am, I'm Morgan Krupetsky. I lead institutional and capital markets business development at Avalanche. I'm joined today by Andrew Durgee, head of Republic Crypto, and David Azaraf, director of growth at INX, to really talk about the excitement over the past few weeks as it relates to the Republic Note, the Republic Note listing, and the launch of trading, which I'm sure we will all get into. Before we dive in, just to kind of level set, Money Moves is really a spaces that we started a handful of months ago to delve into the realm of tokenization, and really kind of want to use the time to really make the topic accessible as possible for individual investors, retail investors, anybody within the community, and really take the opportunity to ask, what would seem to be silly questions, but really trying to kind of make the topics that we talk about as accessible as possible. And so, to that extent, we'll really use this time to kind of delve into the basics of some of the things that we're going to be talking about today. Before we delve in, Andrew and David, I'll ask you guys to introduce yourselves. And one thing that we always like to ask our guests is, besides introducing yourself, your role, but also, how did you make your first buck? How did you make your first dollar, euro, pound, whatever it was? Would love to hear that story as well. So maybe, Andrew, let's kick it off with you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Andrew Durgee. I'm president of Republic. I built out the Republic crypto arm of Republic. Been in this space since February 2010. I was CEO and co-founder of a company called the Coin Tree, the first doing multi-sig security and storage for Bitcoin in 2011, 2012, and 2013. I was in the hedge fund space after that, running due diligence and fundamental analysis engineering teams for hedge funds, most of which was crypto specific. Became a partner at a firm called TLDR Capital, which was the number one ICO advisory firm 2016, 17, and 18. And then I joined Republic in early 2019 to build out what was meant to be the first vertically integrated crypto investment bank. We finished the integration very, very early last year and now have gone through a full digital merchant bank evolution. How did I make my first buck? Well, I was very lucky. At an exit early in my life in college, I built a online educational company called SourceAid. We specialized in citation solutions for students and universities and help prevent plagiarism in the form of improper citation. And I had an early exit in between 2008, 2009. And it was a mixture of right place, right time, and just kind of a novel technology and solution at the time. So that would be how I got lucky early on in life with my first pound, shekel, buck, however you want to look at it.
Something tells me you probably made a little bit more than one. Usually we hear stories of people driving like ice cream trucks, but that's a great one.
Oh, I can go way back. I mean, my first job ever was I was a busboy at Outback Steakhouse. If anyone's ever
See,
eaten
there
at
you
one of
go.
those.
That's what you wanted to
Yeah.
get to.
Oh yeah. The walkabout soup there, so good. Still eat it Outback occasionally. Which actually, funny enough, even though it's Australian themed restaurants, was started in South Florida, in Tampa.
Fun fact. David, let me turn it over to you for an intro.
I love that question. I mean, we often have these like icebreaker questions when we're hosting dinners, and how do you make your first buck is probably up there with the best I've heard. So I'll start with that. I actually made my first buck in 1998. It was a South African rand, the OG shitcoin. So it was worth about $4 or $5 at the time. Now it's about $20 for 20 rand for $1. So the exchange rate over there didn't really do us good. But it was 1998 World Cup. France won that one, FIFA World Cup, and my brother and I made and sold flags for like 20 rand a pop. And then a couple years later, we had a whole merch store going for the 2010 World Cup when it was in South Africa. And since then, we've moved on to shitcoins as a family business. So life's good. And as for my background in the space, I'm actually not a shitcoiner. I was just playing around. I joined in class of 2017. Got into reading Bitcoin. My background's originally in data science and analytics. We worked at eBay and some hedge funds in the past. But when I read Satoshi's white paper the first time, like I was hooked on understanding this technology and this monetary system and making it accessible to the masses and helping them utilize the advantages and opportunities. So I've been building and growing projects in the space since then. I've been through the waves of ICOs and NFTs, and I'm very, very privileged to be in the eye of the storm of the RWA boom. And it's great to be speaking, Morgan, with you and Andrew, two juggernauts of the space. And I think RWA is the natural culmination of that initial excitement I had in 2017 when I saw all these ICOs and all these token generation events, and I was super excited about the fact that me, a 24, 25-year-old, entry level guy, can start investing in early stage startups. Except that wasn't that. Everyone knows ICOs kind of hyped up. There was a big run up, and a lot of them just didn't end well because there was no real backing for that token. That token didn't represent any equity or any rev share, like we'll get to in the Republic token. And I was left very disillusioned. Became a little bit of a Bitcoin maxi, and now I discovered RWA and how that real compliant tokens backed by value, financial benefits from the real world can help realize Satoshi's vision in a way. And I'm very, very bullish on that. And my job at INX is to connect with industry partners and startup founders and the community and educate and help onboard more and more issuers and more clients and more traders to actually engage with this asset class.
Awesome. Thanks so much, David. Before we get into the specifics of what is the Republic note, maybe let's take a step back. Assuming our community is familiar with Avalanche as a blockchain for a whole host of different decentralized applications across gaming and DeFi, NFTs and institutions. Let's talk a little bit about how INX and Republic as companies interact with, or what is their role within the blockchain, or in this case, Avalanche ecosystem. So if you could maybe just discuss at a high level what each of your companies does and the role they play. Are they infrastructure? How do they kind of fit into this blockchain ecosystem? And then we'll kind of get deeper in from there. So, maybe David, if you want to kick it off, that'd be great.
Sure, happy to. I think that's a great place to start because there's a lot of fog around who does what, and we hop on a lot of calls, and people just expect INX to be advisors, tokenization chaperones, advisors, like a lot of other people they speak to, but we couldn't be further from that. INX is a full service digital asset listing and trading company. So we have sort of three pillars to our business. The first being a crypto exchange where you can trade AVAX, you can trade BTC, Ethereum. The crypto exchange is regulated as a money transmitter in 47 states. It's got the best practices for fund segregation. So we all know what crypto exchanges have done in the last year and all the monkey business. So INX is proud to have been on the regulated train, on the compliant and safe train from day one. And then we're getting into the meat of the real world asset, the security token space, which is where we have two of our other pillars. The first being primary offering. So a startup, in the Web3 space, AI, whatever startup might want to come and raise new funds using a security token, a compliant security token. And whether they want to issue rev share or dividends or equity tokens. And our platform, our technology allows them to sort of run that offering from A to Z, which includes fundraising, KYC, AML on their users, includes managing the cap table, issuing and minting the token, and then listing them on the INX platform for secondary trading. And our third pillar, which is what we're here to discuss today, is direct listing. So the Republic Note had a pre-existing raise. They raised from, I think it was how many people participated there? There was like 3,000 participants that participated in the primary raise, and now yesterday it was listed directly on the INX secondary market on our trading platform for trading. Now, why is INX securities trading platform important? Because a, a Republic Note and other sort of regulated assets, they need a regulated platform, an ATS, an alternative trading system to trade on. And Republic Securities, INX Securities has that license, so we can facilitate compliant blockchain-based trading for security tokens. And on the Avalanche side, I'll leave the best for last. Recently, like a couple months ago, we integrated Avalanche as one of the tokens, one of the blockchains that we support on the secondary market. So the exchange can now settle Avalanche trade. What that means is that, without getting too technical, the INX Securities ATS, our trading platform, matches an order, and then the trade is settled directly on the Avalanche blockchain, and the security tokens are self-custodied by the traders, by the users on the Avalanche blockchain. And that's compatible with Subnet technology, and we see Avalanche is obviously a lot cheaper in fees than Ethereum, so that's something the INXs are loving right now, cheap and quick. So I think it's a big milestone for us to integrate Avalanche, to see Republic Note as the first use case of an Avalanche-based token listing. And obviously, this is the start of hopefully much to come, since both AVAX, INX, Republic, like we're sort of putting our chips in this RWA narrative, and it's starting to catch fire around the world as well. So that's in a nutshell of INX and what we do best.
Thanks so much for that summary, David. And yes, tokenization is something that has always been top of mind and part of our mission statement. So I think between the three of us, we're all very much aligned on that mission. Andrew, is there anything that you would add? And maybe if you can just talk about Republic from a high level and kind of how you guys fit into the Avalanche ecosystem. I know Republic overall obviously has a lot of different kind of moving parts. So, feel free to kind of highlight the ones that you think are particularly relevant for this discussion.
Yeah, I'll give the headline description of Republic, and then we can kind of dive deeper. But Republic is a Web3 leaning digital merchant bank with nose to tail integration of advisory, capital formation, primary issuance, tokenization of wallets, treasury management, and secondary market liquidity. As David was saying, like what INX is not, Republic is all of those other things. So it's why the relationship and growing partnership between us and INX is becoming more and more valuable, and including because we share a lot of the similar compliance level DNA. As far as Avalanche goes, we have been probably the closest or one of the closest partners of Avalanche since 2019. To the point to where we raised them some of their initial capital, like well before they ever did public listing, worked on their tokenomics, structuring, helped them on listings and primary issuance. I mean, the list goes on and on. We're about as intimately close with Avalanche as you can really get, and we've always been huge fans and cheerleaders of everything that they've done, and the original vision that Emin had out of the gate. So really love the team there, and Morgan's not only one of my favorites, but my whole team absolutely loves Morgan. But everything from
I did not pay him to say this.
To John. I mean, only in martinis. But John Nahas and John Woo and Kevin and I mean, even our initiatives over that we've done in Korea and collaborations. I mean, just the relationship continues to grow and is healthy. So, when Republic is chain agnostic, we do work with a lot of other chains, and there's some chains that are better at certain things, and we we really like to support what we believe are the chains that have the most long-term viability, and Avalanche obviously sits squarely in that seat amongst some of our closest partners. So, originally the note was going to be on Algorand. That's originally what we strove to be, and Algorand continues to be one of our partners. But there were just a number of feature sets that we really needed to be native to this asset, and ultimately, at the end, Avalanche was really, really the right choice. And I mean, we can already see that just in not only we knew this for a number of months, but just seeing the live trading and activity of the node at this point, breaking probably every INX record. I don't know, David, have to answer that question, but I think the early success is just the precursor to something much, much larger.
I think you guys are breaking a lot of security token records across the board, so it's got kudos.
That's actually a good point. And we'll talk about like a little bit about why that is. But maybe, Andrew, let's delve into the node itself a little further. I mean, obviously, there's been a lot written about it, and I would encourage everyone to go and read the white paper because it really kind of explains in really accessible detail what it is. But while we have you, talk to us about what it is, why it's interesting, and then also in particular, why our community really kind of care to learn more and understand it.
Yeah, so Republic's mission is to democratize finance, and you hear this in Web3 all the time, in all these different iterations and variations. But Republic is we're even beyond the mission point. We're at the implementation point of that, where that's actually truly happening. So in the United States, there's something called the accreditation system, and the accreditation system basically means that in order to participate in pre-IPO investing, when it relates to equities and securities, that you have to either have $1 million of liquid of value, not including the value of your home, or you need to be making north of $200,000 a year. And so this becomes a huge financial gating item for most of America. And when most of the upside with early investing happens before an IPO, pre-IPO, they're held out of financial upside. And it's really then absconded to those who are already wealthy, are already in a healthy financial position. So Republic set out to create an avenue, a unique and novel solution that involves really new regulatory frameworks that have been put together in the past 15 years or even 10 years to allow this initiative, to where now we can take interest in these pre-IPO companies and be able to attach the upside of that interest into an asset, which is the Republic note, that people who are not accredited can participate in. So Republic is, as I said, we're investment bank, digital merchant bank. We have a variety of products and funds that accrue upside in different asset classes and in different businesses. We love to use the SpaceX example because it's the one that generally hits home the easiest. So we helped raise capital for SpaceX. We own a carry position in SpaceX. That means we own upside in SpaceX. And when we inevitably sell it upside, or when there's some type of transactional event, maybe an IPO, we're able to exit that position and take the money that is accrued from that upside, so the additional value generated, and then we distribute a percentage of that back to the note holders. Meaning, if you hold Republic Note, you have a pre-IPO access and pre-IPO value accrual of SpaceX. And it doesn't matter if you make 50 grand a year, 25 grand a year, $0 a year, you have the ability to participate in that upside where you previously were. And that is a very, very unique concept. And really just the start of what we're going to do, but it's the foundation of how we're looking to truly democratize finance and give people financial access and financial upside to something they've never had access to before.
And I think that's particularly interesting for a couple of reasons. One, because, and you know this better than I do, but as I understand it, more and more companies over the past X amount of years have been choosing to stay private for longer. And so as that's happened, it's kind of limited the investment opportunities for individuals who historically haven't had access to or who haven't had ready access to private market investment. So I
Oh,
think you
I'd
guys
go
have,
deeper. I'd go
yeah,
deeper than that. I mean, not
go
only
deeper.
less than less companies going public. I mean, if you look at IPOs, I mean, the IPO market is nearly dead at this point. The IPOs have happened over the last 10 years have been not great and really just
Yeah.
punished retail investors. I mean, if you want to look at one of the more recent big ones that is retail oriented, look at Birkenstock. Look at what happened with the Birkenstock IPO. It just slaughtered, just everyone, all the retail investors just got dumped on. And then you even go another step beyond that. Now you have public companies that are going back private,
Yeah.
right? Whether it was, Dell or Twitter or X, take your pick. You're starting to see the reprivatization of these businesses. So when you look at the IPO market, you see less and less IPOs. Most of the IPOs terrible, and existing public companies now going back private, and that makes that space very, very treacherous for your regular retail investor.
And to that end, from an exposure perspective, and I should have said this in the beginning, nothing here is financial advice. Please do your own research. Please go read the white paper and, contact Republic and INX to the extent that you guys have more questions and want to learn more, which we'll get into in a little bit. But from an exposure perspective, I thought what was cool with this is that as an individual, you don't necessarily have to sit there and decide kind of, and you can, and there's obviously over 2.5 million of your customers who do this, but you don't necessarily have to invest in or pick and choose a particular company to invest in. The note gives you exposure to your entire ecosystem, which I thought was really cool, and both on the capital side as well as the funding portal, which I don't know if we've necessarily made the distinction between yet.
Yeah, and it's evergreen, right? Every single time that we work with a new client, and we work with dozens of clients a week, we're taking a position in those companies, and that grows the portfolio, right? And that grows this what is a truly an evergreen product. So it's not something that eventually comes to a close. It's just every day the value of that pool of assets just continues to grow and grow and grow.
Really cool. And in terms of just kind of the tech enablement components, and maybe David, if you want to kick this off, and I think we talked about this in previous sessions, but from a blockchain and tokenization enablement perspective, talk to us a little bit about what about the note and the INX listing, leveraging blockchain tokenization, smart contract logic, like all this technology. What's like the so what of that? What does that mean for investors in terms of potentially a better user experience, or what kind of benefits do they get by accessing the note in this tokenized form?
So I'll start off with the top, the main difference, with and I must admit a slight bit of ignorance that I'll ask Andrew, for some clarification. But, with a security token, a compliant RWA token, not all of them are compliant, but the compliant ones, they need to be whitelist gated, which means that not every Tom, Dick, and Harry can get them, trade them on a DEX or send them to a friend. You need to undergo KYC AML before you can hold that token in your wallet. Now, on the Ethereum, there's a specific standard called the ERC 1404. I'm not sure that the note is a 1404, Andrew. Perhaps you can chime
I
in
think it
here.
is Andrew, isn't it?
Yeah.
I saw 1404. I saw an ERC 20 contract. So there you have it. A 1404, which essentially means that you have to be on the white list. I mean, you get on the white list by undergoing KYC AML. Short of that, it's got all the instant settlement, and I think the main benefit, at least for retail investors, for institutions it might be a different story, is the self custody. So when you are trading, as I mentioned at the beginning, when you are trading Note, when you're trading INX, when you're trading security token on the INX platform, those security tokens are it's what's called an atomic swap. Once the order is matched, right? If you're a buyer of security token, you'll get the note straight to your AVX wallet, to your Republic wallet, that we're integrated as well. And you can, obviously with great power comes great responsibility, but I'm a big believer in self custody. And, Andrew was saying all those inspiring ideas about giving, retail, giving non accredited investors upside in SpaceX. But self-custody, I think, is it's the part that completes that, because if you have upside in SpaceX, but it's held by your bank, banks can do haircuts. They can be around on the bank. It's not as it's not as sovereign as if you have the private keys to your own assets. So I think that's the number one benefit over here, the number one advantage of having this asset listed as a token on AVAX, on IMX.
Andrew, anything you would add there?
I mean, on the compliance side, Republic is US-based company, so everything that we do is extremely compliance-oriented. We run multiple broker-dealers and ATSs and have expanded CMAs and all these other things that are, just additional regulatory coverage for us. And kind of what David was saying is, listen, if you want to notice something that you're interested in participating in, you have to clear through KYC. Every buyer and seller has to be on the whitelist, and every transaction that takes place has to clear through what's called a TA, and those verify those transactions. So yeah, well, I would say yes, every Tom, Dick, and Harry can participate as long as they
As
are
long as
not.
they go through KYC.
Yeah, as long as they're not on an OFAC list and they can go through KYC.
As long
But
as we know
I would
Tom, Dick,
add
and
to
Harry's surname and proof of address.
That's right.
and get a photo of their driver's license. But I also think some of the things that we were talking about before in terms of like the blockchain enabled benefits around, being able to pay with a stable coin and being able to ultimately, I mean, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but get distributions through stable coins as well, atomically directly into your wallet. And then ultimately, I mean, who knows in terms of like where this will go, but there's a lot of talk in terms of being able to pledge assets as collateral to borrow against. And so, I think what actually we've been able to accomplish, or what you guys have been able to accomplish really is, finally we're seeing examples of these, as people call them, tokenized real world assets issued on chain, and not just issued, but demanded. I think, David, you mentioned over 3,000 investors have been subscribed so far between individuals as well as institutions, including actually the Avalanche Vista allocation, but also that it's started to trade in the secondary market, which I think is huge, particularly when we're talking about security tokens, and something that we don't really see often or haven't seen often these days when we talk about tokenized assets.
I think you made a good point around, some of the other benefits, with direct distribution in USDC, but also, the potential eventually to securitize these assets. I mean, lending against a token is something that has been very clearly proven. The concept been proven by DeFi, but those tokens are, either stable coins or they're wrapped tokens or mirror tokens or staked ethers. It's a whole bunch of synthetics on synthetics. So I think, RWA, like the real world assets, I think they have a very harmonious merge with DeFi as well, where you have the DeFi dApps, the ecosystem, the collateralized lending, the automated market makers, but instead of the assets within them being synthetic, being made up vaporware, you have real world, real cash flows, real estate, bonds, equity, private equity, venture capital. So that's definitely something that will probably move a little slower than DeFi because of the regulatory aspect. It's not move fast and break things. It's ask for permission and do things slowly. But once it gets there, I think it's going to melt faces.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then I think also we didn't talk about this, but let me know it's INX or Republic, or both of you guys have digital transfer agent licenses, and like if you guys could explain like what does that mean, because that is really also I think an upgrade from like the traditional way of doing things and really kind of makes for a faster, better user experience.
So yeah, INX, we have the big three when it comes to licensing. So one is the broker dealer, which is relevant when we're want to issue an offering and raise funds for a new offering. The other one I mentioned earlier, ATS, Alternative Trading System, which allows us to offer digital securities trading, like a trading platform. And what you mentioned is the TA. Andrew also called it a TA earlier, a transfer agent. So a transfer agent is essentially in charge of maintaining the cap table and keeping a record of those transfers. So obviously, the transfer agent's job is made a lot easier because everything's done on chain. You just need a transaction hash, and you can use that to update the cap table. But there is a advantage to having that, guardian of the books, to having, there's security tokens also have some sort of a revoke functionality that if we know your KYC and you lose your keys, we can, reissue the token to you. So there are these sort of guardrails, these fail safes that traditional investors and institutions would be more familiar and comfortable with, and transfer agent is one of those. And that's, as I mentioned, one of INX's big three licenses.
Thanks so much, David. I want to ask maybe one or two more questions before we open it up to the community for just a few more questions. But maybe Andrew or David, if you guys could talk about, if someone is interested in subscribing to the note, what is the best way to kind of go about doing that? Does the Republic wallet play a role here? And if so, how? And then basically just like, what are the next steps for those that want to kind of see if they want to get involved, and how can they do so?
Dave, you want to start, and then I'll come on the other
Yeah,
side.
sure. Come to INX, sign up. Leave your email, your password. We'll do your KYC, get in line, and once you're approved, you can trade the note. As far as where, if you want to read more about the note, their white paper is fantastic. I mean, I started working on the note sort of on our side on all the collateral and material and whatever, quite shortly before they had to go live, and I made use of the white paper with ChatGPT helping me out to summarize and extract the most important points, and it's a must read for anyone who's interested in the note and interested in this whole new concept of RWA tokenization in general, because I feel like I'm reading the Ethereum white paper of Vitalik. It's not just introducing a new asset, but an entirely new class of assets.
And then from the Republic side, I would just say go to republic.com/the-note. You'll see all the information that you'd probably want. You'll find there. That page is the brainchild of Peter Green, one of the original founders of Republic, and truly a product genius. So I think you'll enjoy that. We do have the Republic wallet, which is integrated with INX and is really the primary wallet for the note. But there's a number of different wallets that you can use, especially as you look to have more and more sovereignty to your own custodial solutions. But the Republic wallet is a non-custodial, multi-asset, multi-sig wallet. So, might also be a good fit for you guys. And if you have any questions, reach out to Republic. Can reach out to us on X. You can reach out to us through 100 other channels that you'll find on republic.com. It's a hungry community that we continue to look to grow and support. So we'd love to have you join. And if you're on the other side and you are looking to raise capital, or you want to participate with some Republic services, and then you end up finding a portion of your company being attached to the note, that's another fun way to do it as well.
Thanks, Andrew.
Morgan, I just
sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I've pinned a post over here with a link for anyone who wants to check out. If you're feeling your fingers itching to get that note, click on the link and you'll get to it straight away.
You know what? I don't want to out my DeFi team, but I will say there were a few people from our business development team who checked out the INX KYC process and were very pleasantly surprised by how easy it was. So I think if they can do it, others can as well.
I'll send your compliments to the chef.
Please do. Please do. Kyle, can we maybe open it up for a few questions?
Yeah. So if anybody has questions, that they want to ask the team here. Obviously, we want to respect their time and being guests here, so let's keep it focused on the launch of the Republic Note. So if you have a question, hit the mic button and come on up. Kat, I'm going to add you up here since you requested up a bit ago, and hopefully we're able to answer the questions. And if anybody else has one, feel free to request up, and we'll bring you on one by one. So, Kat, looks like you're up. Oh, just dropped off. All right. Yeah, we let's give it a minute to see if anybody
actually
else
while we do, Kyle, while we do, let me actually, I just didn't realize, let's talk a little bit about also why you guys respectively chose Avalanche. I know we touched on it a little earlier a bit, but I know you guys have a couple of different perspectives, and just would love for our community to kind of hear about some of the things from an Avalanche perspective, like on the technical side, that really kind of made this fit for purpose for the note. And feel free to whoever wants to kind of jump in first.
I mean, I'll answer this the same way I answered everybody. We chose Avalanche because my whole team loves Morgan. That's why.
On the technical side, please.
No, so like when you're looking at security tokens in particular, there's a lot of different features that you need to have access to or be able to build that can support security tokens in a US structure. So things like mint, burn, freeze, clawback, these things which may not be innately blockchain and decentralized concepts are required in order to be able to facilitate these types of offerings, particularly within the United States, but in a number of other jurisdictions. Mix that with the overall throughput, the onboarding, developer onboarding tools that exist, and now the onset of subnets, you really have a lot of optionality with Avalanche that you can grow and scale with, and it gives you just a lot of control over your own asset, which is super helpful. So there's not a lot of other protocols that have all of those things. So Avalanche sits in a relatively unique seat to be able to service the security token space for that reason. And then Morgan.
Thanks, Andrew. David, I'm assuming your guys is probably similar, but feel free to add in.
I do have I'll just answer that with the story. Look, I wasn't there when our next decided on Avalanche, but if I was, I would have prioritized it first. And I just so happened to be a few months later, I mentioned the AVAX house in Seoul, and a lovely guy by the name of Kurt. He showed me how to spin up a subnet like in a couple seconds, and right next to Kurt there was a bunch of shooter games. Avalanche, is very big into RWA, but you guys are also making a massive concentrated gaming push. So just that kind of the dichotomy, the combination of spinning up a subnet in 5 minutes on one hand, and then seeing all the gaming, all the NFT, all the artwork, and realizing, I've been in I've analyzing and studying blockchain architectures for a while, and a single chain can work, can scale. There's ways around it, but I'm much more of a fan in the federated sort of hub and spoke model. And out of all the practitioners of the hub and spoke model, I think I haven't gotten too deep into all the technicals and the different VM and the execution engines, but I think it comes down to community. So once you have that hub and spoke sort of federation model where anyone can spin up a chain and connect it to sort of main chain, or what you guys call the C chain, and then it becomes a game of who can support innovation and who can build a community and who can sell a story around that chain. And I think Avalanche has done a fantastic job. So kudos.
Awesome. Yeah, amazing. Thanks for the insight there. And we're going to jump to some questions here to see if we can help answer what the community is asking. So Aditya, you are up first.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to ask you about dividends and how that would be paid out.
Aditya, can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh yeah, he's yeah, we can hear him, Morgan.
Yes.
Yeah,
hi.
Just me. Sorry.
Yeah,
just you.
My question is with regard to dividends. How would that be paid out? Would that be paid out in USDC or in dollars? And what sort of yield is an appropriate one for something like the node token?
Yeah, so I mean, I probably won't comment too much on the yield side, but just so you know how it works, when the asset pool reaches a liquid value of basically $2 million, we do a distribution. And so that's based the yield of that is then overall based off how many existing note holders that there are and what the circulating supply is associated with that. So that's one side of it. What was the other part of the question? Oh, what we're going to distribute. And so it'll be distributed in USDC. So into the wallet that that currently holds the node tokens will then get a USDC distribution. And there'll be a lot of notifications and marketing around that as we lead up to that event.
Great. Thanks for the question, I tell you. Appreciate it. And thanks, Andrew, for hopping in there. JDM, you are up next.
Hey, thanks. I think Republic One's an interesting concept, but I was just curious to know if I could find some information on kind of the investment underwriting process. And then also, it looks like, on the website, you guys have 765 assets to 623 companies. That's a pretty high volume game. Like, what's the kind of, overall strategy there? Are you guys looking at kind of everything under the sun? It seems like it's a pretty high volume VC approach. I'm just curious to understand that a little bit further.
Yeah, I think it's important just to delineate that while there is some investments that are done, a lot of these positions are earned through services, right? So let's say we do an offering on our public sale platform, and we take some percentage in cash raised, and we take some percentage in the security that we're selling. And so that security is then falls within that portfolio bucket. Right. So the lens is very different. The lens necessarily wouldn't be what you would use as specifically a VC, though we do have VC funds and those do fall into that. But more holistically, we've got 20 plus revenue lines at Republic. A lot of those revenue lines include some level of equity or security or token as far as the payment structure. And those all fall into that basket. Each one of those business lines has different parameters for what they're looking for as far as a client or as far as a potential issuer. And so you get a very wide spectrum of asset classes because of that. So it's extremely diversified, whether it's space or crypto or health services or fintech solutions or a salsa company. I mean, it really truly spans probably one of the widest selection of different types of assets that you probably find anywhere.
Okay, great. I'll go give the white paper a read, but appreciate your comments.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome. Thanks, JDM. Appreciate it. Race, you're up next.
Yes, thank you for letting me speak. I am an early investor in the Republic note for the first offering that you guys initially had, and then this current one. So I'm very proud about the product. I love the platform. I've had a great use for it. It's been a really good experience. So when can we expect the note to be on other exchanges to give other people an opportunity to get access to it?
When you say other stage, you mean other exchanges? Is that what you said?
Yes, other exchanges.
Yeah, I mean, initially, we're going to stay focused on INX. I think inevitably we'll find ourselves, within other exchanges. I think it's just important to know that there's not a lot of security token exchanges, right? And a very limited amount that can support like the type of volumes that we're doing here on the note side. So that space is still developing and growing over time. And I think as we start to see other exchanges that have significant user bases and can handle and grow the volume, that becomes particularly interesting. But for the time being, we're definitely focused with our partner INX.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Rex, you got the best voice in the game, my friend. That is Morgan Freeman.
Seriously.
Watch out.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
I feel like I'm going to host like a jazz radio station really well.
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Amazing. Thanks for the question, Race. Great insight there.
Oh my God, where did that come from?
Thank you.
Race dropping the sound effects. Been on Spaces before.
Laugh track this whole time? Oh my God.
Yeah, we could have used that.
Yeah. Someone's been on Spaces before. Thanks, Race. Thanks, JDM. Appreciate it. Looks like that's all the questions we got, and I know we want to kind of close it out here to respect time. So, Morgan, I'll let you kind of close it out with our guests.
Yeah, just a huge thank you to both of you, David and Andrew, for joining us. Maybe let me turn it over to either of you guys or both of you guys for any kind of concluding thoughts before we wrap it up.
I just want to say thank you.
Yeah,
Go for it. Sure.
I was just going to say, thank you to the community. Thank you for everyone for attending today. We appreciate everyone's support. This has been a massive undertaking on Republic's side for probably north of 5 years now, I'd say. And to really see it come to where we are now and the success, and it really is just the beginning. Truly is just the beginning. And a huge thanks to Avalanche and INX for joining us on this journey.
David, anything from your side?
Yeah, sure. Thank you to you, Morgan, for being an incredible host and the AVAX team, and obviously
I can't tell if he's not speaking or if I can't hear.
Yeah, he's speaking. You just can't.
Oh no! Okay, I'm gonna mute myself. Sorry, guys.
I'll let you know when it's over.
And thank you to Andrew as well, and Republic, for being here, and obviously for your kind hospitality in Korea. That was one of the better evenings we've had. And I just want to say that it feels like we're, in those. This is what it must have felt like in those early Bored Ape spaces before it really took off. Except this is, a trend, RWA, this kind of wave, this big push coming up. It's on a decade, multi-generational scale of really transforming the financial system from the ground up. And Satoshi would be proud of all of us and all of you for being here and being early and taking time out of your evening, your mornings, your afternoon, whatever, to listen and learn and inform yourself about these mega trends. So thank you guys for giving us 48 minutes of your time.
Yeah. Thanks, David. Appreciate your time as well. And Andrew, really appreciate you coming through. So, Morgan, any final thoughts before we close it out?
No, just again, thank you to both of you for joining us as guests. I think this is a really good opportunity to kind of learn more about the Republic Note as well as the listing on INX. Thank you guys to our entire community for joining in. We, as always, will be posting a replay of this Money Moves episode in the coming days. Encourage everyone to log into INX and Republic to learn more about the note and the listing. And otherwise, thanks for joining.
Yep. Thanks for joining, everybody. We'll see you next time, and we'll let you know when the recording is up on YouTube. So, and stay tuned for the next Money Moves in the next couple weeks. Thanks to our guests, and we'll see y'all next time.